The New England territories had much public fear and mass hysteria before they would learn to abolish their archaic ways. 19 innocent lives were lost due to society's twisted thinking of centuries past. Welcome to my channel, Enlightenment in the Darkness. Men, women, and even young children were involved in these heinous trials. Salem will always go down as a major learning experience going forward. While most repented of their involvement in the trials, some did not, and perhaps these are the ones cursed to wander the very area in which they condemned others. Properly known as the Jonathan Corwin House, it is named after its owner, Jonathan Corwin, who just happens to be one of the Salem Witch Trial judges. He investigated much of the claims associated with the alleged witchcraft activity, signing several arrest warrants during his time. The Witch House is the only structure still standing today that has direct correlation to the Salem Witch Trials, since it served as the home for one of the judges who took part in arrests leading to multiple executions. It is said to be haunted by spirits of the innocent who were hanged during the trials. To add to the belief that this particular abode is haunted, it has been rumored that the witch house was used by Jonathan Corwin to interrogate those accused of witchcraft. One can only imagine the veracity of these interrogations, most especially since Corwin's friend and fellow judge was involved. Which brings us to Judge John Hathorne, prominent judge of the trials and good friend of Jonathan Corwin. Judge Hathorne built a small empire through mercantile trading with England and the West Indies. He owned much land in Salem, helping him to gain positions of power and authority in the town. He was eventually appointed a justice of the peace and served in the High Court. While he primarily mediated disputes within Salem Village, he quickly rose to further authoritative power once the witch trials began. One of the most sinister and heartless judges involved in the Salem Witch Trials, John Hathorne is responsible for handing down the most executions. Hathorne had a well-documented reputation for his callousness toward those accused of witchcraft, and it's primarily because of his treatment of the innocent that this house is a central focus for those interested in Salem's haunted history. After more than 300 years since his death, Hathorne is still remembered throughout Massachusetts as a cruel zealot incapable of showing mercy, so much so that he earned the nickname the Hanging Judge. Many also accused him of using his seat on the bench to commit murder. Interestingly, Judge John Hathorne is the great-great-grandfather of author Nathaniel Hawthorne, who wrote the novel The House of the Seven Gables, of which the Turner House was eventually named after. Not too far from the witch house is the cemetery where Judge Hathorne is laid to rest, Old Burying Point Cemetery. Allegedly, his spirit has been captured on camera numerous times, and thrill seekers still visit here at night to try and catch a glimpse of the infamous judge. To add to the intrigue, nearby residents claim that wandering ghosts from the cemetery have made their way into their homes. When taking one of the available tours through the witch house, there are several artifacts from the 17th century that can be observed. Within the kitchen area there are many documents from the actual Salem Witch Trials. An odd practice from this era was to place a shoe inside a home's walls to ward off witches and warlocks. And wouldn't you know it, they have an old black shoe from the past owner doing just that. Perhaps the most frightening item on display is that of an actual witchcraft doll. Called a puppet, witches would allegedly place hexes on these dolls in order to curse their victims. The doll in question was actually found in a different, yet nearby, house said to be the very one in which Bridget Bishop lived, the first woman executed by hanging during the Salem Witch Trials. One of the most oft-reported encounters of paranormal activity is encountering that of a disembodied voice. Thought to be the most haunted place in Salem, Massachusetts, people have even claimed to have been touched by unseen forces, as well as feeling cold spots in certain areas of the house. There have been a few reports of hearing the voice of a little girl, quite possibly that of the youngest accused of witchcraft during the trials, a 4-year-old girl. Others have claimed of being touched by an unseen entity, and feeling cold spots throughout the house. Even the Ghost Adventures crew of paranormal investigators explored this iconic location for their television series. Interestingly, the witch house was set to be demolished in 1944 to make way for widening of the street. Locals, however, banded together and put a stop to it by raising the $42,000 required to move the house back a mere 35 feet where it currently sits. After 2 architects restored the residence to its original 17th century splendor, the witch house was handed over to the city of Salem, at that point becoming the museum that it functions as today. With it being the oldest standing structure of the Salem Witch Trials, there's no doubt as to why the house is visited by many on a yearly basis, most notably around Halloween. It has the perfect recipe for what makes a traditional haunted house. Perhaps it is best that this house remains open as a museum, haunted or otherwise, as it stands to serve as a reminder of how far we've come as a nation. What was once considered normal practice, the execution of witches and the like, is laughable by today's standards. If there ever was a time period that we can reflect upon to see just how much we have bettered ourselves, the Salem Witch Trials is it. Sadly, many innocent men, women, and children had to die before we realized the error of our ways. But with these strides comes a responsibility for us to ensure that these types of overzealous actions never again occur. If in doubt, one need only to look to the Witch House of Salem, Massachusetts. Here you'll find more than enough evidence of our once brutal ways in a time when the freedoms that we have today were unheard of. So what are your thoughts about the Salem Witch House and the Witch Trials? Please feel free to comment your thoughts below. I would like to thank you for joining me here today on my channel, Enlightenment in the Darkness. Please like and subscribe to my content. Many blessings to the rest of your day.